Let's talk about rocker. What is surfboard rocker? Why does it matter? And why am I even talking to you right now? I've been getting a lot of DMs lately about the Christenson Long Phish mainly, and people asking me like if I had to choose between this board or maybe a CI mid twin or a slightly other like variation on slightly other different mid length. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because something I've discovered since riding the Christenson Long Phish 2 is, and the thing is I see a lot of people. I'm an admin for a 20s group. We have over 50,000 members, and I noticed that people put up a lot of photos of boards and going, which fins should I ride in this board? But what they do is they take a photo of the board that way or that way. They never actually put up a photo of that. What the rocker actually helps you and tells you is, and something that I learnt from riding this board, if you have a look at all these boards behind me, you will notice that a lot of them have a very flat rocker. I will quickly show you what I'm talking about. So basically, I should have turned my back to you when I'm talking. Basically, a flat rocker means that the curvature of the board, a rocker is the curvature of the board. And so a flatter rocker, that will do for you is, if you think about it this way, depending on how much surface is actually touching the curve of the wave and actually on the wave, will either create speed or it will create like performance or turning. So a flatter rocker means more surface is actually touching the wave. So this is an Album VB mid-length. It's one of their new models that I've been working on reviewing, and I'm going to be doing a review on it as soon as I've ridden it more and feel a lot more comfortable on it. But the thing with this board is, if you have a look at the curvature of the board, it's pretty straight. It does have some nose flip, does have a little bit of tail flip, but it's a pretty flat rockered board. A lot of these boards on here, because I live on the east coast of Queensland in Australia, on the Sunshine Coast, we have fatter, slower waves, so they're more suited to flatter rockered boards. But something I discovered when I bought this, and because I've known myself and I know the kind of boards that I like, and I've always liked flatter rocker boards. And this is why I wanted to make the video, because what I discovered when I bought this and started riding this was, if you have a look at that rocker, so what you can see, and I don't know how well it fits in the frame, it's got a lot more curve down there in the nose, and it's got a lot more curve in the tail. So basically what that does is, like I was trying to say, and I apologize, I am ADHD, so you're going to have to bear with me as I might jump off on the different tangents. But what that does is, so a flatter rocker board will occupy more of the wave's surface, which means that it gets to go faster. What that does is, what it will tend to do, so it'll work better for you if you're in flatter, fatter, doughier kind of waves, because it means that you get the board will create its own momentum. Now, if you think about it this way, is that with a more rockered board, that means that there's less surface actually engaging with the water in the curve of the water, in the curve of the wave. So what actually happens then is there's probably, maybe that much of the board touching the water, which means it will go slightly slower. But what that actually means for your surfing, and this is why I've wanted to make the video, is because it's more, when people ask me what board should I get, I tend to ask them, well, how do you like to surf? And where are you actually surfing? And that's the actual kicker with a rocker board. And that's the thing that converted me over to more rockered boards, was after riding the Christenson Long Phish, it has a lot of rocker in it. But what the cool thing about that is it means that with a flatter board, it's hard, it will create its own speed, but it's harder to turn because it's generating its own speed and there's more surface touching the water. With a more rocketed board, like the Christenson Long Phish, like the edge board that you see here, it actually means that it might go a little bit slower. I do notice the difference, but the thing that I liked about with the rocket boards was that it was easier for me to actually surf more vertically and push up the face of the wave, or just do my turns with less effort. So that's something that immediately struck me when I started riding this thing, and especially when I rode the edge board from Michael Sagers, and I am going to be doing a review on that one too. I've just got lots of boards to review and trying to have a life in between. But why I wanted to, so hopefully that makes sense about why I wanted to bring that point up. So when you are looking at buying a board, or you're tossing up between, and that's the thing, is I get that question a lot, should I get the Christenson Long Phish or the CI Mid Twin or something else? The CI Mid Twin has a flatter rocker. So it just depends on what gap you are trying to fill in your quiver. They're both really great boards. I've ridden this one in smaller waves and I still really enjoyed it. The thing is another, and I'm going to do another video on this soon, is that the importance of getting the right fins in the right board. Now, if you have a look at, and how to work that out is by looking at the board. So with this board, I use the MVS C Drive. I cannot recommend those fins enough. I know they look kooky to people and they're like, well, no one else is riding them. I don't see anyone else really where I live riding them. And I'm like, you guys are nuts. Because every board that I've put it into, well, 99% of boards I've put it into, that thing has made it click and it's felt a hell of a lot better. But when you are trying to work out what fins to put in what board, you do want to talk to the shaper. Like when I spoke to Album about the new VB, they said to me, go more semi-keels. They did recommend the NVS Fascination mid keels, which I have ordered from NVS and they will be here hopefully soon. But I tried the upright reverse ENs, the ones with the cool little swale kind of thing going on in them, and the board just didn't work. It just didn't click for me. It just felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel good to me, and it put me off the board straight away. And I'd had about 2 surfs on it with those fins. Then I went, let's go to my favorite trusty C-Drive fin. Threw those in, the board clicked straight away and it felt heaps better straight away. I did notice that, so I took this over to Bali as soon as it was ready. Well, it got timed, so I was flying to Bali at the same time. And I did notice as a flatter rocker board, the board went a lot faster, but again, harder for me to turn. And that doesn't mean that you can't turn them. I'm not saying you can't turn flat rocker boards. I know you can because I've done it many times. But it just means it's a little bit harder to. And that's the thing is, when you are riding mid-lengths, it's nice when you have that bit of curve to actually be able to push up off the face of the wave a hell of a lot easier. So, but going back to the fins, there's my ADHD brain. Going back to the fins, like I said, talk to the shaper and ask them, okay, what fins would this board work best in? Some will suggest uprights, some will suggest more raked back keels, might be semi keels, whatever it is. You can also look at the board. If you're buying a board on like Facebook Marketplace or whatever, you can look at the board and kind of go, okay, where is the fin placement? So look at the rocker first. With a more rocketed board, it depends on the feeling that you actually like, but a rocket board is more for performance, so you might want to go an upright kind of fin. But with this, I think I checked in with the guys at Onboard when I bought this board, and they said actually throw in the Christenson keels. So I tried that, and it actually felt pretty good. But with me and with keels, if keels are basically fins that are a lot more raked back. So what that does is it will give you more speed and again, more surface area touching the water. but it gets harder to turn because the fin's not going to release as much because it's less upright, so there's more hold through the tip. That works for certain people. That doesn't work for me. I don't like that feeling. The reason why I like riding twin fins is because it gives you that feeling of release when you actually turn it. So I did initially try them. Didn't feel like terrible or anything, but I just went, hang on, let's try the C drives, because they're my go-to fin now. Like, once you find a good set of fins that you absolutely love, they should be your go-to test for any board that you're trying out. So I threw in the the NVS C drives, and that completely changed the board. The thing with this board is that the fins are further back. So when fins are further back, when the fin boxes are set up further back on the board, that means it's going to be a stiffer board and stiffer to turn, harder to turn, because you've got to put your foot almost over the fins in order to get it to engage. So fins that are more forward, and the CI Long Phish is the fin boxes are quite further back. I just want to show you guys what, for example, let's see. These are a little bit further back. Sorry, it's stuck. This is the Vouch Midfish, another twin fin mid-length. And this one actually does have a fair bit of rocker too, which is something that I loved about this board too. So, but you can see that the fins are slightly more forward than that one. And I apologize, I can't put them next to each other. It's just, I don't have that many hands. These fins are slightly more forward, but they're not massively compared to maybe some of these other boards. Let me see if I can. Oh my God. So you can see that well, there's a considerable difference there. If I get my head out of the way. So this is a lot flatter rocket board. This is a Nuevo Camino. It was oh gosh, I forgot the name of it. It was a fish that we just kind of blew out into a mid-length, and that's another epic board. But you'll notice with more rocket boards that they put the fins further back, because with that, if you're riding a board that tends to be a flatter rocker, you want to have those fins further forward just so it's easier to turn. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the perfect example of what I'm talking about. So if you look at the Album VB, they've put the fins further forward here because it is a flatter rocker board. So that means that I don't have to have my foot as far back, and it's going to turn, even if I have my foot like slightly off forward from the fins, it's still going to turn a lot easier because it's a flatter rocker board. So basically when you are, this isn't easy to do. When you are looking at fins, and yeah, this is a video about fins now apparently too, as opposed to if you are looking at fins, it really depends on the board. So I feel like I've gone completely off track. Anyway, let's go back to the Long Phish. Is that's something that the Long Phish taught me, is that in good waves, a rocket board, and so anything, above that kind of, you can see a lot of pros riding flatter rocket boards. They are pros. They know how to freaking jam a turn like nobody's business. But what I found and what I absolutely loved about a more rocket board is in better waves. Oh my God, there's nothing like throwing a turn up on a more rocket board. It just makes it so much easier. So I have no idea if that video actually made sense or not, but in response to all those questions about should I get a Long Phish, depends on where you actually live. I would recommend to get one, because if you've got a lot of flat rocket boards, these are perfect to kind of give you a completely different sensation. And the thing is they will work with a more rocket board. They will work in any conditions almost. Not any conditions, but this still grovels like I've taken it out at that big, and it's actually worked really well. So if you're surfing in a place that like can be more up and down, then these are definitely worth, like, and when I say up and down, I mean, you never know what the waves are doing. These are definitely worth to have in your quiver. They teach you a lot about your surfing and allow you to actually surf in a different way. And if that's what you're after, or if you're after a more predictable style of surfing, then just stick to the kind of rockers. Look at your boards, look at your rockers, and see what actually works and what doesn't. So I hope that video helps. The camera's battery is about to run out, so hopefully we get this last bit in, but I will be doing a lot more reviews and a lot more informative stuff. I really can't wait to tell you guys about this edge board. This thing is absolutely ballistic. So much fun. I've had 2 surfs on it, and the first surf absolutely blew my mind. And as soon as I got it, I had a surf on it. And I was like, that is the best twin fin I've ever ridden in my life. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you do have any questions, feel free to DM me at any time on social media or drop them in the YouTube comments below. I hope that helped. Kicks Life out.